Okay, so you're going to be investing in properties in a bunch of different states. How do you do that efficiently? Well, the old-fashioned way of doing it is you'd probably set up an LLC inside each of the different states. Let's just say it's South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida that you're going to be investing in. So you'd set up a separate LLC inside Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. Okay, right off the top, let's just freeze a little bit and think about that step alone. That step alone, we've just had to pay 3 different sets of fees to set up these LLCs. So that's a little bit of a pricey event. Next bad thing about this. Next bad thing about this is annual fees. Various states require that you file an annual report with the state, and whenever you file an annual report to the state, they want to get paid. Let's just say that's $150 per state. That's roughly about the average of these things. $150 per state times 3, that's $450 in transaction costs, and you have to do 3 separate filings, which might or might not happen too. Oh, and by the way, not only the filing, but you got to keep accurate books and records for 3 separate entities. Then also, if you don't live in those states, they're going to be hit with resident agent fees. Resident agent fees, those are about $100 each. So that's another $300. So the total annual fees for these LLCs going to be $750. Plus, you're going to have to keep accurate books and records, so there might be bookkeeping fees for each of those entities as well. What's a better way of doing this? A better way is just incredibly simple. And what is it? What we're going to do is we're going to establish a trust. And by the way, you could live in Nebraska, establish the trust in Nebraska, and it could hold the real estate in South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. It doesn't have to register in South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. So right off the top, we don't have the transaction fees of setting up 3 different entities. Then we don't have the annual fees of filing with the state and the bookkeeping that comes with it. We do have bookkeeping with just 1 entity though. And we don't get hit with those resident agent fees. Then what we do is whenever you transfer the properties in, we're going to utilize something called a slippery deed. And a slippery deed, we have another video on that. So watch that video to answer the questions. But basically, the way a slippery deed works is we put language right on the deed saying that a third party, a trusted third party, it could be your spouse, it could be your kids, it could be your parents, whoever, but it says that you're going to give that trusted third party the right to move this property over to anybody who's blood related to them or into a trust for anybody who's blood related to them at any time they want to. So example, I own some properties. I set up this trust. I move them into the trust and I utilize a slippery deed. I say that my wife has the right to move this property at any time she wants to. That's a pre-existing, that's a prior encumbrance, if you will. It's kind of like a pre-existing mortgage on the property. My trust took the property subject to that power that I gave my wife to move the property around. And by the way, this is completely public record, so the whole world is on notice about this. Now something bad happens to me. Can they take the property? Answer is no. I don't own the property. My trust owns the property. Okay, so they now go running after my trust and they start a lawsuit against my trust. No big deal. First off, can they even get into the trust? Probably not. But even if they do, no big deal. My wife, utilizing that pre-existing power, moves the property over to a different trust for the benefit of my kids. Those guys are out of luck. Oh, and by the way, what if they come after my wife? Can they take away the right to move the property? Answer is no. Even inside the bankruptcy code, it says black and white. If somebody utilizes this power to move the property later on down the road, that isn't a right that can be taken away from them. Not even the bankruptcy court can take it. And by the way, what's the worst financial disaster that could possibly happen? Bankruptcy. So if the bankruptcy court can't take it away, pretty much nobody's going to have a chance to do this. So once again, don't utilize LLCs in the separate jurisdictions if you're going to be buying across state lines. Makes no sense, and it's just going to cost you a lot of money. Instead, set up a trust, move the properties into the trust via a slippery deed, and you've got asset protection. Oh, and by the way, if we really want to make it fun and exciting, what else do you have? Well, number 1 is privacy. The property is held in the name of the trustee. What you could do is appoint a trustee whose name is different than yours to manage the properties. And by the way, you could have control over that. But all you do is put someone else's name on the trust, And now if they do a title search, your name's not going to show up. Other thing, avoid probate. If it's held inside the LLCs, you're going to have to go through probate if something weird happens. With the trust, you're going to avoid probate. There's a lot of other benefits too, but I just want to talk about the basics and keep it simple. And if you have any other questions, give us a call. What you want to do, establish a trust, move the property into the trust via slippery deeds, and you're fine. You've probably just saved yourself about $1,000 a year. Any questions, give us a call. Thank you very much.